In Cleveland, they have a lot of quarterbacks. They have more quarterbacks than doors in the facility. They wrapped up a 3-day minicamp on Thursday, and they don't know who their quarterback's going to be either. It looked like it was going to be Deshaun Watson early, Michael. It feels like Shedeur Sanders has made some strides. My theory is that somebody had a fairly pointed talk with him about all the things he needs to do. It's not just about game day. There's a lot of other stuff you have to do to properly prepare yourself and properly lead a football team. You can't just show up and play like Brett Favre always wanted to do. Brett Favre didn't want to do anything but show up and play. I think someone has convinced him he needs to pay attention to details and needs to do a lot of these other things and embrace it as part of this day in and day out grind. And it may give him a shot to win the job over Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I think even if he doesn't win the job over Watson, Mike, I think he is somebody who should prepare to play. And he should prepare to play a lot. Because if you look at Watson, his time in Cleveland, after a while, it's just not a coincidence. It's just something that, he's been through so many injuries the last 3 to 4 years. If you just list the Deshaun Watson injuries, it would seem like his body is 45 years old. Yet it's surprising that he's not as old as people think he is, because he's been off the radar for a while. He's had major injuries the last 4 years. You just look at it and say, even if he wins the job, the Browns would be foolish to think, okay, he's got the job, and we're going to plan on having Deshaun Watson be our quarterback for 17 games. It's very unlikely. So I think to your point, Shedeur really does have to be on his details, because the Browns are going to need him. He's going to get some time. It's likely he's going to get some time as the backup.
Yeah, Watson said earlier this week it's the first time he's been fully healthy since week 3 of the 2023 season, which is encouraging but also discouraging because, and I was saying this to Devin the other day, one of the reasons I have so much respect for professional football players, you spend so much time and effort getting your body into peak 100% physical condition so you can go out and get it injured and do it all over again. And that's the reality. How long is Deshaun Watson going to stay healthy? It reminds me of one of the original criticisms Chris had of Watson, that he treats every play like it's the last play of the Super Bowl. You have to know when to give up. You have to know when to call it quits. You can't put yourself, and he gets hit a lot. And, I know a lot of quarterbacks get hit a lot, and with him, it hasn't been the narrative that's become for certain others, like, hey, why don't you slide? Why don't you get out of bounds? The Jackson Dart stuff. But when you look at how injured Deshaun Watson has been, there is a point where you got to pull the plug on a play. All right, here's Todd Monken, head coach of the Browns, on the improvement that he has witnessed in second-year quarterback Shedeur Sanders.
I just think he's doing a better job. I think he's being more decisive. Now, it's easy to say we're not in pads. It just feels like he's making quicker decisions. The ball's coming out of his hands, which he's going to have to do. Not that he doesn't have playmaking ability, because he does, but his ability to process quicker and get the ball out of his hands and eliminate lost yardage plays is going to be huge for us to be able to stack plays and score, which is ultimately the number one thing to do.
My take on all of this, and I'm sure we've encountered someone like this at some point in our lives, mainly professional lives, somebody who knows how to do the hard parts of the job but keeps tripping over their shoelaces on the easy parts of the job. And I kind of feel like that's what the Browns think and what Monken may think of Shedeur. He has playmaking ability. He can do the hard parts of the job. We just got to get him to do the easy parts of the job. Because if he can master the easy parts of the job, he'll be even better on the hard parts of the job.
Yeah, and I wonder why the easy parts, and this is, you're right, we've all worked with somebody like that. And the question we have, whether it's football or school or any other industry or profession, we say, why are the easy parts difficult for you? And a lot of times the easy things are difficult because that person thinks it's boring. they're bored by the easy stuff. They like the drama. They like the big things. They like the hard things, but the mundane things, they get bored by them. I don't know if that's what's happening with Shedeur Sanders, but as a quarterback, your success is embracing the boring things. Hey, sometimes hey, that check down. Sometimes it's throwing the ball away and living to see another play. And so he's got to master that. And I guess if he can master that, maybe he will win that job. But that's what Todd Monken is looking for.
And the challenge is, and it's a combination of maturity and just understanding all those boring things make the exciting things even more exciting. You convince him you'll be better. It gets back to what we were talking about. Good coaches. You find a way to press the buttons and get the desired result.
The NFL offseason hasn't been overly chaotic when it comes to player movement. Few marquee names have changed teams via trade or free agency. But as you see there, plenty of star power still available, but don't expect these free agents to stay on the market much longer. Here to break down the top free agents still on the board and where they could land, let's welcome an NFL analyst for CBS Sports, John Breach, and Ryan Wilson, the Super Friends. We're going to start with the bigger Bosa brother, Joey. Now, there has been some buzz about a possible reunion with Nick in San Francisco. Bosa is a 5-time Pro Bowler who showed that he can still make a difference during his stint in Buffalo, finishing with 5 sacks and 5 forced fumbles. Wilson, are we going to get double Bosa bear hugs in San Francisco?
Love it. Good to see you, Katie. Good to see you, Breach. Yeah, so that's the direction I went because it felt like, you want to keep it in the family. Let's get Nick and his brother Joey back together. Nick did say yesterday, I believe, that in terms of rehabbing for the season, the upcoming season, Joey is playing a lot of golf. So I think that's where we are when you get north of 30 and you're a veteran and you don't need OTAs. But I do love the idea of going to San Francisco where they do need help at the edge rush position in terms of depth. They did drafted Mykel Williams last year who had the ACL. We know that his brother Nick had the ACL as well, Nick Bosa, so he's recovering from that. And beyond that, there are a lot of question marks. So I think getting a situational pass rusher like Joey Bosa, his best days are probably behind him. You see the 5 sacks there. But someone who can come in on third down and get after the quarterback, that makes all the sense in the world for me. And he can be reunited with his Ohio State brother and brother in real life, John.
Yeah, Ryan, these guys need to think about it's time to play together. You're not getting any younger. So if the Bosa brothers do want to reunite in the NFL, it feels like this is the year to do it. I think that there was some speculation that Joey might do it last year. He ended up in Buffalo. And Ryan, you mentioned that the 49ers need some help with their pass rush. They don't just have Mykel Williams and Nick Bosa both coming off torn ACLs. They got 0 production last year. This team finished with just 20 sacks. That was the fewest in the NFL. Myles Garrett by himself had more sacks than the entire 49ers roster. So that kind of tells you where that team was as far as getting after the quarterback. They absolutely could not do it. So if I am Nick Bosa, I am calling up Joey every day. I don't care if he's on the golf course. I am calling him up and begging him to come to San Francisco. And I'm not going to stop those phone calls until he actually agrees to sign.
Well, we know that it's the wish of Mama Bosa as well to have her sons together. And hey, the 49ers do have a ton of cap space.
He got some comments this week about being happy where he is and all that. If I said he's going to finish his career a Raider, is that an overreaction?
I think it's an overreaction. I do think this is the next big name we talk about once the season gets going. If he's playing and showing himself to be healthy, he already got traded once this offseason, right. So we know it's something that they can do and that they would consider. So if the Raiders fall out of contention, if he's playing well and he's healthy, I know they're still getting calls from teams. They just don't have the price they want yet. If that price goes up, I think he could end up moving.
Harry, you think we see a trade involving Maxx Crosby?
Yeah, I think one team, they won the NFC North last year. It's the Chicago Bears. They have a tougher schedule in 2026, but if they have dreams and aspirations of getting further than they did a year ago, they're going to have to add more pieces on the defensive side, and particularly at pass rusher. They have Montez Sweat right now and Grady Jarrett at the defensive tackle position, but who else is going to rush the passer? They lost so much defensively, so I think at some point the Chicago Bears will be calling the Las Vegas Raiders to acquire Maxx Crosby.
Oh, I like that.
Oh, who doesn't? I think to Graz's point, this is something that takes place during the season. I think there are multiple contenders, the Bears being one. Look at the New England Patriots, the Philadelphia Eagles, teams that I think can use an extra pass rush depending upon how the season unfolds when we get to that trade deadline.
Okay.
What if the Browns are not choosing between Maxx Crosby and Joey Bosa? What if they are choosing whether this new era should be built with fear or patience? Dog Pound, listen closely, because this is bigger than comparing sack totals. Cleveland officially turned the Myles Garrett era into Jared Verse and 3 future draft picks. At the same time, Shedeur Sanders and Deshaun Watson are still sharing opportunities while Todd Monken evaluates his quarterbacks. That means the Browns are rebuilding their defensive identity while searching for certainty at the most important position on offense. Cleveland cannot ask Jared Verse to become Myles Garrett and ask Shedeur Sanders to save the offense at the same time. Both players need structure. And that brings us to 2 completely different walls. Maxx Crosby is the wall of fear. Crosby remains with Las Vegas after Baltimore backed out of an agreed trade, proving that moving him is difficult but not impossible. He would bring relentless pressure, violence at the snap, and immediate credibility opposite Verse. Protections would have to choose. Slide toward Crosby and Verse gets space. Focus on Verse and Crosby attacks the other side. That defense could force punts, create turnovers, and give Shedeur short fields instead of asking him to throw 40 times while chasing the scoreboard. But come on now, that kind of fear is expensive. Crosby could require premium picks, major money, and complete confidence in his recovery. Cleveland would be sacrificing part of tomorrow to become dangerous today. Then there is Joey Bosa. Bosa is the wall of stability. Buffalo signed him to a 1-year deal in 2025, and the Bills now list him as an unrestricted free agent. He also led the league with 5 forced fumbles last season. He would not carry the same acquisition cost as Crosby, and Cleveland would not need him to play every snap. Use him in a rotation, keep his legs fresh. Let him teach Verse how to read tackles, attack protection tendencies, and preserve his body across a long season. Maxx Crosby could create panic. Bosa could prevent panic. And here is the part nobody should ignore. Crosby could protect Shedeur on Sundays. Bosa could protect the resources Cleveland needs to build around Shedeur for years. Picture a freezing night in Cleveland. Verse lines up on one edge. Now choose the other side. Do you want Crosby attacking like every snap is personal, forcing the quarterback to speed up before the ball is even snapped? Or do you want Bosa, fresh in an intelligent rotation, recognizing the protection and delivering one calculated rush when Cleveland desperately needs the ball back? Either choice could help Verse. Either choice could help Shedeur. But only one tells us what Cleveland believes about its timeline. Maxx Crosby is the move you make when you believe the window is open. Bosa is the move you make when you are still building the window. My answer? Do not mortgage the future unless Crosby's medical situation and price become impossible to ignore. If Las Vegas demands a fortune, sign the smarter veteran, preserve the picks, and let Verse become the star naturally. The Dog Pound is finally holding valuable resources. Aggressive is good, reckless is not. Dog Pound, which wall does Cleveland need? The terrifying wall of Maxx Crosby or the smarter, more affordable wall of Joey Bosa? Comment Crosby or Bosa, hit the like button, and subscribe for more Browns news and reaction.